Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is, of course, the Arsenal News Show. Join you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, as always, for making this a part of your morning routines. It is very much appreciated. I hope you've had a good start to your weeks. We're now on the home stretch. It's Thursday. I quite like Thursdays. Knowing that Friday's tomorrow, knowing that there's an insignificant competition that we no longer play in on this evening. Things like that. I joke, but I do quite like Thursdays. They are it's just a nice knowing that you've only got a couple of days left until the weekend and Premier League action comes back, and it's just quite a nice day. It's better than Tuesdays. Tuesdays are a little bit better because of Champions League, of course, but still, I just hate Tuesdays. Anyway, good morning. I hope you're doing good and well. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us as always. But good morning to Black Shine, to Barry, to Matt G, to Marcus. Good morning to Rob and Arasilki, MRM, Tom, Matt G. We've got Hawkwin, NSW, Red Star, Damien, Pika Who, Stevie. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us in the chat. It's very much appreciated. I hope that you've had, as I've already said a number of times, a fantastic week so far, and that everything is going good and well. And if it's not, I hope that it improves for you very, very soon. This is going to be a usual show. I'm going to talk about the news in the first half. We'll talk about some of things, and then we're going to tackle some of your questions. I've also got something that I want to kind of soundboard off you in the second half, so stick around for that as well. Let's go through the news first of all, though, shall we? Sokratis, Arsenal's former centre-half, is set to join Hector Bellerin at Real Betis. The two former Arsenal players will reunite. Fabrizio Romano reporting that he will be signed on a free transfer. We know that Mark Bartra has suffered an injury for Real Betis, so there is an expectation now that they will indeed grab hold of the Greek international and have him as kind of a depth option at centre-half whilst they've got their injury issues. Moving into the Champions League and a little bit of a discussion about yesterday's results. Gimenez scored twice. That's Santiago Gimenez, the Feyenoord striker that plenty of Arsenal supporters would love to see join the club at some stage, be it this summer, this January at some point. He's very exciting. 15 goals in 9 games for him now. And just to run you through those results from last night, Barcelona beat Shakhtar Donetsk 2-1. Feyenoord, with Gimenez scoring a couple of goals, beat Lazio 3-1. Newcastle defeated at home against Dortmund in their very interesting group. It leaves them third. Dortmund overtaking them on head-to-head records going into second spot. RB Leipzig beat Gimenez, a team that I know that people have left comments about how to pronounce it, and I apologise. I'm trying my best. Red Star, Belgrade, RB Leipzig winning 3-1. Manchester City had to dig in deep and come from behind with 2 late goals against Young Boys, and PSG won 3-0 against Milan to get their Champions League form back on track, and they go back to the top of their group. Celtic drawing 2-2 with Atletico Madrid, who had a man sent off in that game. I think Celtic will feel a little bit disappointed. They couldn't in the end come away with the result. And Porto winning 4-1 in Antwerp. And that obviously completes the round of match day 3 in the Champions League, which means we get a look at what the groups are like at the halfway point. Bayern Munich leading Group A on 9 points, Galatasaray on 4, Man United on 3, and Copenhagen on 1. Man United still need to host Bayern. They still need to go to Galatasaray and go to Copenhagen as well. So a very difficult end to their group for Man United. Will they progress? Fingers crossed they finish third. In Group B, we know that Arsenal are top. Lens on 5 points, Sevilla 2, PSV 2. Arsenal now in a very good position after 3 games. And we'll hope that a win and a draw in the last 3 matches will be enough to see them top. But I think that we might need a couple of wins against, one being, of course, against Lens to guarantee that top spot. Group C, Real Madrid 3 from 3. Napoli on 6 points. Braga on 3. Union Berlin at the bottom on 0. Disappointing have Union Berlin been this group so far. Group D, Real Sociedad lead on 7 points, but they are joined on 7 points by Inter Milan. RB Salzburg on 3 points, Benfica on 0. Group E, Feyenoord, that big win over Lazio sees them top the group at the moment on 6 points. Atletico Madrid in second on 5 points. Lazio on 4 and Celtic on 1. The interesting Group F, PSG 6 points. Dortmund and Newcastle on 4 points, and AC Milan Milan on 2. Group G, Man City top it 3 from 3. They're going to be progressing. RB Leipzig on 6, Young Boys on 1, and our Red Star Belgrade on 1 point. And in Group H, Barcelona are on 9, Porto on 6, Shakhtar Donetsk on 3, and Antwerp on 0. So there you go. That's the latest in regards to Champions League action. Now we go to our headline transfer story, and that is, according to plenty of kind of Chelsea lines coming out yesterday, is that they are supposedly leading the race for Ivan Toney. We're going to have to wait and see whether or not Ivan Toney continues to be linked with Arsenal in the wake of these further links to Chelsea. But certainly we know that the player is... Well, we know that the player is interested in a move in January. Whether or not he does move to Arsenal remains to be seen. But Chelsea are reportedly the side that are currently leading things. And whether or not that changes, I guess we will have to wait and see. But Chelsea are leading the race at the moment. Imagining Nkunku and Toney up top for Chelsea is a scary prospect, I think. But I, for one, wouldn't be too sad to see him move somewhere else. You know my feelings. I don't need to go into them in any more detail. You're probably sick to death of my views on the Ivan Toney transfer. But yeah, I'm quite happy to see this story emerge at the moment. And lastly, Sandro Tonali is set to miss Arsenal's visit of Newcastle next week, because reports emerging from Italy is that in the next couple of days he is set to be brandished with a 10-month ban from action. He is not going to be involved in any footballing activities, just like Ivan Toney, of course, for the next 10 months. I think Toney's ban slightly less, I think, potentially. But Tonali banned for a long time. It's a lot of money that Newcastle invested in him, completely not going to be used at all during this rest of the season. So 2 matches against Arsenal, there'll be no Tonali. Toney's was 8 months. Thank you, Runs with Cows. I don't know how they judge the amount of time for players, but for the allegations and the amount of grievances that there are. But yes, 10 months for Sandro Tonali is the reported news surrounding the player. You can get some extra months on a really good service, though. Nothing about bans or anything like. But if you do find yourself seemingly banned from viewing what you'd like to view online, maybe it's because you're in the wrong location. But we can remove those restrictions, and you won't have a number of months banned. You'll have a number of months given to you instead, because, of course, NordVPN is going to give you that ability to do that. And if you go to nordvpn.com/Gooner, you can get yourself not only a discount off a 2-year plan, but some extra months thrown in as well. So remove the restrictions, remove the bans off locational video access, and change your laptop or your phone or your tablet to think that it's somewhere else in the world. And if you're not happy with the service for whatever reason, there is, of course, that 30-day money-back guarantee as well. So certainly, it is worth getting hold of. I implore you, invest in it now. It's certainly worth your time, and the ability to be able to do it is obviously something that you should have in your lives. Right, let's go to part 2 and your questions right after this. I'm desperately trying to sort out this microphone. I like being able to hear my own voice. I know that sounds incredibly arrogant, but it lets me know, kind of, just tell me if I'm turning the dial at the moment on the microphone just to see if you guys if it goes up or down. Has it gone up? Has the volume gone up? I'm hoping that my voice has stayed at kind of continuous level, because now I can hear myself because I've been able to turn up the little volume, but maybe my voice has gone higher or lower. You have to tell me in the chat box. But now I can. I couldn't hear myself at all. Which, if you've got headphones on, you try speaking with kind of headphones on. It's incredibly disconcerting because you can barely hear yourself talk. It's gone up apparently in the chat. Okay, I think that's a good thing. I'm hoping that it's clear and crisp for you. I should sort these out beforehand, but I completely forgot. So sorry about that. Part 2, I'm going to be a little bit louder. So maybe you need to turn your volumes down a little bit. But I like being able to hear yourself. Right. I want to talk to you about something, which is, I want to talk to you about something because it's bothered me, and maybe you tell me, maybe you can tell me that it shouldn't bother me, but I'd like you to tell me whether or not I should feel bothered about this. And I think it's because it's something to do with the power of language, which is really important to me. Words are power. Words are really, really important, and I think that they should be used in the right way. So let's talk about this. So this article went up yesterday. I think it was yesterday, or maybe the day before yesterday, from an outlet in Norway called Dagbladet. I've not heard of them before personally, but maybe I'm just being ignorant. But the headline that you can read on your screen has been translated by Google, which is the first caveat of this, of course. The headline, I can't read in Norwegian, so don't ask me to, but it translates to "It hurts me," is the headline. And the subheading of the article is "Surprising turn in the discussion of Martin Ødegaard in England. Arsenal expert suggests that he should be left out of the team." Now, there's no prizes for guessing who the Arsenal expert in the headline of this piece is. I don't really think I'm much of an expert, but here we go. It's what bothers me is this word "should be left out of the team," because this article links to a couple of pieces that I did on Ødegaard after the game against Sevilla. Now, after every single game, I do a winners and losers piece where you write 3 players, or just 3 things, they don't even have to be players, that are like winners from the game, and 3 things that are the losers of the game. So for this piece I did, you can read it in full on the football.london website. I encourage you to do so. My winners were Gabriel Jesus, Takahiro Tomiyasu, and I call it the ease of pressure, of course, of winning that game and what it does to the group. And then the losers was Aaron Ramsdale, for pretty obvious reasons, Ødegaard, because I was disappointed with his display, and Sergio Ramos, because he's now gone 17 years without winning against Arsenal, which is great. But the issue for me here is that in those articles, and this is where the thing about "should be dropped" comes from. Now, I'm going to read you the Ødegaard extract that I put. It's only 3 paragraphs. So here we go. It says, "Another disappointing performance from Martin Ødegaard as the Norwegian failed to make a meaningful impact in the game. He looks lacking in confidence, and manager Mikel Arteta took him off for Kai Havertz in the second half as the skipper was forced to hand over the armband. Many have theorised that this is due to Norway's poor international showing and the likelihood of missing another major tournament. However, there were issues prior to the last break. Perhaps Ødegaard needs some time on the sidelines to refocus, with Arteta bringing on the German, which could be a sign of things to come. Who will start on Saturday, therefore, is perhaps less certain than usual." Now, to me, I don't think I've said he should be left out of the team. Those words are really key for me. I said here, perhaps Ødegaard needs some time on the sidelines to refocus, which I think if they'd have put in the headline, "Arsenal expert suggests some time out of the team will help him refocus," it's really important, those use of words, because the suggestion is it's a solution to get him back to his best form. That's the whole point of it. When you say someone should be dropped, it's quite a harsh thing to say. Like, you might not think that it is, but imagine if you're at work and someone says, I think you should leave the office for a week or so. It's quite harsh. And so I think when you write about these things and you write kind of constructively, you're trying to come up with solutions about how they can get back to their best. And the reason why I bring this up is because in the comments section of yesterday's show, someone, Trond the Orderson 982, left a comment which says, "Hi Tom, I have listened to you regularly last year and I think that you are a reasonable man." Well, that's good start. But how can you talk about dropping Ødegaard after 2 bad games? You should ask why he is not at his best level. He still works like hell, and yesterday he ran 6.68 kilometers in the first 45 minutes. Second was Rice with 6.35. Ødegaard is, like last season, early in the position to get the ball, but the ball is not coming forwards. Jorginho plays sideways or backwards. Well, we talked about Jorginho's forward and backwards passing yesterday. Rice go forward with the ball in his feet, so the balance in the midfield was a lot better last season with Partey, Xhaka and Ødegaard. This year, Ødegaard and Saka have been better with Rice as a 6 and Havertz as an 8. Hopefully, we will see Partey, Rice and Ødegaard soon. Just be patient. The midfield will be better with Rice, Ødegaard and hopefully Partey. If the ball comes a little bit faster forwards, both Saka and Martinelli also will be better. The team will be better this year. Everybody talks about how bad Raya and Ødegaard and Saka, etc. have been, but Arsenal have just lost only one match this season, is 3 in the league and top of the group in the Champions League. So sorry, support the team and allow the best players to have a few bad games, and if they have 96 of 100 games, then that's fine. To which I replied saying, consider the fact that I'm a host of the show and we're just simply kind of asking the questions. I personally wouldn't choose to drop him. It's only a suggestion that maybe some time on the sidelines could help him. And that's the issue for me, is the whole point of saying he should be dropped to saying perhaps some time on the sidelines could help, but I wouldn't want to necessarily see him dropped. I think that the best way, as I've always maintained on the show, is that you need to play somebody, into form. To which they replied saying, according to a Norwegian paper, you said that he may be dropped. Now, obviously, nowhere in the paper, to be fair, does it say that he is going to be dropped or that he might be dropped. So that was a miss. And to be fair, I did reach out to a number of Norwegian speakers just to double check this morning whether or not the article had said that or had misquoted me in any way. And they agree that it wasn't. And some of the people that I spoke to agreed that certainly it wasn't what I'd said. Anyway, the comment continues saying, after his form, you said that no player is bigger than Arsenal and he may be dropped against Sheffield United. Now, I do say in my piece, let me read you the exact quote once again. This is from a different article this time. Where is it? It's at the top of this piece. Yes, it pains me to write this as such a huge fan of the player. No prizes there. But he needs to step up, and no individual should stand taller than what is best for Arsenal. Now, this is a point that goes for every player. The club comes first. And if a player is playing poorly, I think that there is always an opportunity that should be open to potentially somebody else to come in, whether you're my favourite player, who is Martin Ødegaard, or anybody else, like we've been talking about with Ramsdale and Raya. But I just wanted to bring this up because it does frustrate me, especially this other part, because later on down the article it says... Let me find it one more time. I know this is really exciting for you guys. It basically says, I remember what the word was. Excel was the word. Here we go. So it says, but Canton believes the captain did not excel before the national break either. Now, this is more of an egregious issue for me because obviously, as I read to you, I said, many have theorised that this is due to Norway's poor international showing and the likelihood of missing another major tournament. However, there were issues prior to the last break. Now, that sentence of however, there were issues prior to the last break is not the same as the captain did not excel before the national break either. I think we can all agree that there are very two different things here regarding what's been said. Because if you remember that Bournemouth game where he got a goal and I think 2 assists in that fixture, including definitely a goal and an assist in that fixture, the one for Ben White and obviously the penalty as well. He had a great game. He had a great game in that fixture. So to say that I've said he didn't excel before the break isn't true. And to say that, what I said is there were issues. And those issues were the Man City game and, of course, the Spurs game where he had those issues and stepping up in those big fixtures. So there you go. That's the lay of the land. That's what I wanted to get off my chest. And you guys are always a bit of a soundboard for me. And so I've used you very much as a soundboard for my frustrations with that. Language is important. Words are important. It's important if you use people's words that you try to use them accurately. I haven't said he should be dropped. I've said that a potential solution maybe is that he spends some time on the sideline and maybe that will help him refocus. But ultimately, I'd like to see him play back into form. And secondly, there were a couple of issues, but ultimately, I did not say the words that he did not excel before the break. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Damien says you spend far too much time worrying about this kind of thing. People have opinions. I have no problem with people having opinions. My problem is when my words are taken in a different direction, and I think that is, I think that is the issue. And I wanted to raise it, and I feel like I'm entitled to raise it. So there you go. Louis says, Tom, they called you an expert. Take that as a compliment. I suppose so. I suppose that's the positive that's come out of this. Popeye says, kudos for taking this head on, Tom. Good discussion, and words are important. Absolutely. Let's scroll up a little bit more. Trader Mike says, you take your duty of care to be careful with language seriously, even with opinions not mainstreams, but maybe the terms winners and losers are worth a relook if you don't mind me making a suggestion. It does. I mean, yeah, it's kind of winners and losers is often just a general line that's used. It's like the winners of the game and who were the losers of the game, who lost out in things, but maybe we could have a relook at what words we use. Losers is quite a strong term, isn't it? So I think that's an absolutely fair point indeed. So yeah, I think that it's very much important to use words as they are intended and to not change the language. And as I said, I have double checked that it wasn't an issue just with translation. And I went to some Norwegian speakers to check that. But I wanted to soundboard off you guys. So let me know in the comment section what you think, because I think that it's important. George says, Tom, do you think Odegaard should be dropped? It's a good question. Look, I think that there are obviously solutions to these problems sometimes. I think that sometimes players can benefit from a little bit of time out of the spotlight just to refocus or to get a couple of, substitution minutes to get back on the field and maybe come into games where the legs of the opposition are a bit more tired. And that can build up some confidence and form. Sometimes that can work. The main point is, I think that it shouldn't be. Should there really be undroppables? Is anyone immune to being dropped? And I'd argue that for any team, no one really, unless you're Messi, is necessarily immune to being dropped. Because, and I think that this is also important. You need to give the opportunity to players to come through if a player in front of them is playing poorly. And I think this is why we've had this discussion about Raya and Ramsdale, because Raya's flattered to deceive a little bit, and Ramsdale hasn't been given the opportunity to show what he's capable of. James says, this is why Arteta is so cautious when speaking to the media. Unfortunately, Tom, as TGT continues to grow, so will the haters. I don't think this is a person. To be fair, I can't credit the author of the article because it doesn't tell me who they are. Hold on. I think it does. Tor Ulrich Bratland is the person who's written it. I'm not suggesting that Tor is a hater in any way. I just think that they've maybe not represented my words accurately, is what I would say. I don't think it's about hating. I just think that it's about, using the authenticity correctly and not changing what's said. And I'm sure it was an honest error. It's just, I think it's important for me to kind of discuss with you. I don't want to sit here and think that there's a problem with something and it turns out it's not. So I'd rather discuss it with you and be open and honest about that with you. Cal says, you've always been the level-headed voice that we ran to, so don't be bothered about it so much. Everyone who knows you understands your intentions. Thanks, Cal. Very much appreciate that. Let's go to Brian says, Canton advocates Odegaard playing in the youth team. Goodness gracious me. Hussein says, Arteta needs to find a way to get more from Odegaard when Partey isn't playing. His worst performances have been with Partey missing. We can't underestimate how much we still lack without Partey. I think that Partey's influence on Odegaard is obviously apparent, but I think that he's had performances without Partey that shows that he can play effectively without him, and Partey's reliability has always been on the table as a question mark, and Odegaard's had to deal with that. And there's been plenty of games that Odegaard has stepped up in that Partey's not been there for. So I just think that this kind of upheaval and the lack of consistency is the biggest factor in maybe why we're not as consistent, because the lineup's been changing, the selection's been changing, the partnerships have been changing, and we just need a little bit more consistent. It's the first season where we've got this really deep squad and that teams are changing and 11s are changing. If you're Man City, right, and you're changing, the lineup is changing week in, week out, and one or two players are being tweaked, over the last 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, or however many years Guardiola's been in charge, he's not really had a defined starting 11. You can have a best 11 based on opinion, but that 11 has changed over and over and over. And because it's in a constant state of flux, those players are more adept and more used to, these changes. Whereas for Arsenal, it's not like that, unfortunately. And until we get used to these changes being made week in, week out, there are still going to be some inconsistencies, and I think that's important. Clive says, the discussion is fine. Jorginho is the discussion as well as Partey's availability. Our midfield is just not quite right yet. And I think that's what I said there. I think, it's to do with the consistency. It's to do with... it's to do specifically with... the level of these understandings between the players, and that's what's important. Let's go to Jacob says, Tom, have you upgraded your microphone recently? A couple of days ago, out of nowhere, the audio sounds more crisp and than it ever has since. No, I haven't changed the microphone. I've changed the laptop. And I've also started wearing headphones as well, so that there's no feedback either. And so it should be a lot more crisper and the audio should be a lot better for you. But I'm not using this thing anymore. I'm using it for work, but I'm not using it to stream because it's just been a problem for me and streaming. So and Dell have been an absolute... I say that. To be fair to Dell, they did come out and change so many parts of the computer, but I've been going around in circles trying to get that fixed. So yeah, I'm on my old Lenovo laptop when I do the shows now, and I'm plugging in the headphones as well. Clive says, Ødegaard does look tired and insecure on the ball. He will come back, partly form and partly a change in midfield personnel. Absolutely. Carl says, Tom, I think Saka's form also affects the perception. If Saka had read or received some of his passes, it may have been a different outcome. Mel says, why does our chance creation vary? Why is our chance creation very underwhelming compared to last season? I think, again, it's to do with the changes, to do with the inconsistencies in the 11. It's to do with the fact that we've only had one game of playing our best front three in the league so far with Jesus, Martinelli and Saka. We did that for the first time against Chelsea, and we've not had a chance to do that until now. So I think that's probably a big part of it. Partey's unavailability. We did all pre-season with Timber in the team, and then from the minute one, he's partway through the second half, he's gone. I think that's affected things. There's just been a lot of inconsistencies in what we've been able to... in what we've been able to see with the 11, so that's important. Datila says, Tom, why are we so high on Gimenez after such a small sample size? I think because he's an exciting young player, and obviously exciting young players tend to get a lot more attention than, say, somebody like Toney, who at 28 years of age has had one excellent season and one good season in the Premier League prior to that. So I think that's why there's a lot more excitement about a young player that's producing 15 goals from 9 games at a young age compared to a 28-year-old that's had 14 non-penalty goal season in the Premier League. So I think that's probably the difference. Clive says, mate, get a Mac. And I see another question. Rich says, you need a Mac. Yeah, I know I need a Mac. I'm very well aware of the fact that I'd like a Mac, but it's the plunge, and I'm really rubbish at doing that plunge of jumping and doing it. One, because of the money involved, and B, because it's completely changing everything that I've understood about computers for the last 28 years. Can Neto play in midfield, says Legend? I wouldn't play him there. I think maybe he could play as a second striker, but, I'd play him on the right. I'd rotate him with Saka. I'd bring him on in games where we need some impact. He's going to be great he's going to be great for that situation. So, yeah. Nathan says, hello, everyone. I missed the first part. I just want to say that Jesus on pure talent is just a gem for the team. That's absolutely fine, Nathan. You can say that to your heart's content, mate. Gary says, if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the sun. I'll tell you, I am one of those people that if I go to a hot country, I'm always like, find me a shady bit. I need a nice shady bit, please. I am that guy. Let's go to Arsenal Adventure says, mate, go get a decent Lenovo laptop. They're better than Dell and HP. I'm saying my Lenovo is what I'm using right now, and it's the problem is that the backspace is... Well, there isn't one. The backspace is gone from this. That just doesn't work. Which I know I could just get a brand new keyboard, but I don't like the keyboard anyway. It's not very nice. Let's go to Gunners Ting says, who do you think is Ødegaard's best sub from the bench? I think Havertz on the right attacking midfield slot is his best position. I think playing on the right-hand side for Havertz is better than the left. I think it makes him a lot more impactful, centrally, slightly right of centre, not right wing. It's worth also pointing out. So, yeah, I just think that him playing where Ødegaard might be or slightly further up than Ødegaard is, that might be his best position. I'm just getting people suggesting different names of computers now, which is fine. I knew that was going to happen. The computer wars have begun. I'm never into that. It's like Xbox and PlayStation or iPhone and Android. People are set in their ways. I frankly couldn't care less. I have an Xbox. I've never had a PlayStation. I've got an iPhone. I haven't had an Android since I used to have like a Sony Walkman, which was over a decade ago. So yeah, I frankly am not in the whole battle wars of these things and standing behind your devices. Just get what works. And so far, my thing... No, that's the wrong sentence. I was about to say my thing doesn't work. My laptop doesn't work how I want it to. So, yes, but there are pills that can help with that. Joel says, unpopular opinion. Teams have had time to analyse our gameplay and have targeted our right side for defensive focus. Maybe someone could check the stats on this, but Ødegaard and Saka have both suffered. I think that teams have targeted our left-hand side because of the space that Zinchenko leaves in behind. So I think they're targeting that side quite frequently, more so than our right. Martinelli's done a lot of good work in tracking back, and his effort that he's putting into things is obviously really important. But I do think that maybe, unless you meant like their own right-hand side they're targeting rather than our right-hand side, but I think actually they're targeting the space in behind Zinchenko, and that's why I think Tomiyasu coming in for these big games and maybe away at Newcastle is what's going to be really important. Constantino says, is there any news on Jesus' injury? Not at the moment. Nothing public at the moment on that. Arteta will face the press ahead of the game against Sheffield United this week, so hopefully we'll hear an update from him very, very soon. Kyle says, Tom, do you think Arteta will go with Havertz and Ødegaard against Sheffield United like he did at the start of the season? Maybe. It depends on the availability of Partey, but we potentially might see Havertz in the starting 11 for that game. Let's wait and see. Hussein says, I think he meant they're focused defensively more on our right-hand side, as in, but he says he means the defence, Tom. Teams are targeting our right in attack. I'm still not 100% sure. I think my brain just having an absolute brain fart this morning. But look, I think that from our right-hand side, it's very secure. White and Saliba do a great job. It's our left-hand side that's more vulnerable. We tend to target other teams with our right because that's where Ødegaard and Saka is. But it's Martinelli that's proven to be a real threat. Go against City, go against Sevilla. Was very energetic against Chelsea. So I really like Martinelli. Trossard's come on and done a good job as well. Trossard scores, against Chelsea as well. So our left-hand side is threatening. So yeah, there you go. Right, we're going to end things there. Let us know what your thoughts are on anything we discussed today. Let me know if you think I'm being too sensitive or just, I really, really think the power of words are important, and representing what people say accurately is important. It's really key. If you use different words, just make sure that they don't change the context. Just to lay that out there. But I am a sensitive soul, sure. I'm very happy to admit that fact. I hope the audio has been better. It's good to see some of those comments saying that things have improved a lot. I've put things in place and worked to try and get things better for you for these shows. So I'm hoping that is having an impact, and I think that it is. Apologies for the audio volume change halfway through the show. I hope that wasn't too annoying and that things got back to normal very quickly. But thank you for everybody that continues to tune in and listen. We will be back this evening, either for an Eat, Sleep, Arsenal repeat or for a preview show. It depends on availability and things. Let me get back to you on that. But there should be a show tonight, and at 9 p.m, hopefully. So do around that time. Might be 8, might be 9. I'll keep you in the loop. Keep following us on social media at the Gooner Talk TV or at Tom Canton Media for my personal one. And if you're not subscribed already, please do. I'll be live at 10 a.m. just after that on the Arsenal Way as well. If you haven't already subscribed to the Arsenal Way, we're actually very close over there to 100,000 subs. I haven't actually checked the channel in a couple of days. It's crazy how quickly that channel kind of just increases in subs. It's mad. So we're very close. We're on 99.4. That's where we're at with that one. So make sure that if you're not already subbed there, help us on our way to 100k. Here we're closing in on 52. So help us here as well. But thank you to everybody that's joined. I will see you again very, very soon. Stay safe, stay well, and as always, up the Arsenal.